Most people don't realize that betrayal rarely begins with cruelty. It usually begins with fear. And fear, when left unexamined, quietly rewrites loyalty. Psychology explains that the hidden reason people betray trust is often not hatred, but self-protection. By the end of this, you will understand what drives betrayal beneath the surface, what happens in the brain when someone breaks trust, and how this pattern shows up in relationships, friendships, and professional life. Trust is a psychological contract. It creates safety. When we trust someone, our brain lowers its guard. Oxytocin increases, stress hormones decrease. We share information, vulnerability, and access. But trust also creates exposure. The more someone trusts you, the more responsibility you carry. And for some people, that responsibility feels heavy. Here is the first hidden driver of betrayal: the fear of inadequacy. When someone feels they cannot meet expectations, they may look for escape. Instead of admitting weakness, they protect their image. The brain is wired to avoid social rejection. When reputation feels threatened, defensive systems activate. The prefrontal cortex tries to justify. The amygdala signals danger. Self-preservation takes priority over loyalty. Have you ever noticed that betrayal often comes from someone who felt insecure around you? This is not random. When a person feels inferior, exposed, or judged, even subtly, their mind may interpret closeness as risk. So they distance themselves in the most drastic way possible. Another hidden reason is resentment that was never expressed. Small disappointments accumulate. Unspoken grievances grow quietly. The brain keeps a record of perceived unfairness. Over time, this builds cognitive dissonance. I am loyal, but I feel undervalued. I care about them, but I feel ignored. Instead of communicating the tension, some people resolve it internally by rewriting the story. They begin to justify behavior that once felt wrong. Betrayal rarely feels like betrayal in the moment it happens. It feels like relief. That is the uncomfortable truth. When someone crosses a line, the brain reduces guilt by reframing the situation. It highlights the other person's flaws. It minimizes the damage. This protects the self-image. Now, pause and consider something. When trust was broken in your life, did it come without warning, or were there subtle signs of distance before it happened? Most betrayals leave emotional footprints. Another powerful driver is opportunity combined with low accountability. Human behavior changes when consequences feel distant. In environments where actions are unlikely to be discovered, self-control weakens. The brain weighs reward against risk. If the perceived reward feels immediate and the risk feels abstract, impulse often wins. This is not about morality being absent. It is about impulse overriding long-term thinking. In relationships, this can look like emotional affairs that just happened. In workplaces, it may look like confidential information being shared casually. In friendships, it may look like secrets repeated for social gain. The person often tells themselves it is harmless until it is. There is also a deeper layer. Some individuals struggle with intimacy itself. Trust creates closeness. Closeness creates vulnerability, and vulnerability can trigger old emotional patterns. If someone grew up learning that closeness leads to disappointment, their nervous system may associate trust with danger. When relationships deepen, anxiety rises. Betrayal becomes a way to regain control. Instead of waiting to be hurt, they hurt first. It feels safer to be the one who breaks trust than the one who risks abandonment. That does not make it justified, but it makes it understandable. Here is a surprising insight. Some betrayals happen because the relationship felt too stable. When life becomes predictable, the brain's reward system can crave novelty. Dopamine responds to newness. Stability produces calm, not excitement. For individuals who equate intensity with meaning, stability can feel empty. They may unconsciously seek stimulation, even at the cost of trust. Have you ever seen someone sabotage something good without a clear reason? Often, the reason is internal restlessness. There's also social pressure. Loyalty can conflict with group belonging. If betraying one person secures approval from another group, the brain may prioritize social survival. Humans are wired for belonging. In moments of social conflict, people often choose the path that protects their immediate status. It's uncomfortable to admit, but loyalty is sometimes secondary to inclusion. Another pattern appears in competitive environments. When resources feel limited, scarcity thinking emerges. The brain shifts into survival mode. Cooperation decreases, self-interest increases. In that state, betraying trust can feel like strategy. But here's the cost. Every betrayal reshapes identity. Even if it remains hidden, the brain remembers. Cognitive dissonance lingers. Stress increases subtly. Self-trust erodes. Because betrayal is not only about breaking someone else's trust, it's about weakening your own internal integrity. Now, reflect on this. When someone betrayed you, what changed more deeply? Your trust in them or your trust in yourself? Betrayal wounds both. For the person who betrays, there is often an internal fracture. For the person betrayed, there is often hypervigilance. The nervous system becomes alert. Future relationships feel less safe. Understanding the hidden reasons behind betrayal doesn't excuse it, but it prevents you from personalizing it completely. Often, the betrayal says more about the other person's fear, insecurity, or unmet needs than about your worth. That shift matters. It allows you to see patterns without absorbing blame. If you fear being betrayed, focus less on controlling others and more on reading emotional signals. Watch for unresolved resentment. Watch for chronic insecurity. Watch for avoidance of difficult conversations. Trust is strongest when communication is open. And if you've ever betrayed someone's trust, the path back begins with radical honesty, not excuses, not minimization, but acknowledgement. The brain can repair relationships, but only when accountability is clear. Transparency rebuilds safety. Consistency rebuilds credibility. Trust is not restored through promises, it's restored through patterns. The hidden reason people betray trust is often a mix of fear, insecurity, impulse, and unspoken resentment. These forces operate quietly. They build beneath the surface until a moment of choice appears. And in that moment, character is tested. The deeper lesson is this. Trust is fragile, not because humans are cruel, but because humans are afraid. Afraid of being inadequate, afraid of being exposed, afraid of losing status or security. When fear dominates, loyalty weakens, but awareness changes behavior. If this perspective helped you see betrayal in a new light, reflect on how fear shapes choices in your own life. Share your thoughts. Continue exploring how psychological patterns influence trust and connection. Because the more you understand the hidden drivers of behavior, the less likely you are to be blindsided by them again.